I've said several times now that stories are devices we use to make sense of things, or they're the verbal objects that articulate the sense we've made of them. That's true, but it's not the whole story. Not all stories make complete sense, and some stories don't make any sense at all. Many years ago, I got roped into being the advisor for an MA student whose thesis was a novel. I don't teach writing, and I didn't want to do this one. But her novel was about police and gangsters, and the head of the writing program asked me to do it as a personal favor, because, he said, you know about that sort of thing. The student didn't show me anything until the very end of the spring term, when she delivered the entire manuscript. It was awful. The wooden dialogue was uttered by caricatures, and not one of the major plot points was motivated. Things just happened, unexplained and senseless, and her caricatures had to deal with them until something else equally unexplained and senseless came along, whereupon they shifted their attention to that. I told her this at more length, and I hope with more delicacy and tact than I'm summarizing it here. She got mad at me anyway. She said I was an idiot. She said I didn't know what I was talking about. She said, "My husband's a cop. I got all those things from him. Every word in that manuscript is true." After a pause, I told her what fiction writing teachers always tell their students. One key difference, maybe the key difference, between narrative fiction and real life is narrative fiction usually has to make sense, but real life is under no such obligation. One event may follow another in real life, but only once in a great while will the relationship between the two be causal. In most narrative fiction, written or oral, the kinds we read and write or the kinds we tell and hear, because, or some equivalent, must be there, explicitly or implicitly, or the story doesn't work. It doesn't have what we call verisimilitude, the appearance of reality. To give the appearance of reality in fiction, we have to provide something that in reality is elusive and rare, connections that seem to make sense. I say seem because sometimes in fiction, we and the characters we're reading about think we know what's going on, but it turns out we're both wrong. In such novels as John le Carré's The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, John Fowles' The Magus, or Faulkner's Absalom, Absalom, or any good piece of detective fiction, things make sense until new facts come into play, and what we thought made sense wasn't at all right. Then, the new situations in their turn are explained. It's a continuing condition of clarifying, muddying, and clarifying again, until we get to the denouement, the point at which there are no further questions to be asked. In that, too, real life tends to be frustratingly deficient. True stories. On the 17th of December, 1967, a Sunday, Harold Holt, the Prime Minister of Australia, was on holiday in the resort town of Portsea, Victoria. He swam in the ocean. He was a good swimmer. He disappeared in the ocean. His body was never found. Australia got a new Prime Minister. That's it. No becauses, no therefores. He went into the water, and nobody ever saw him again. The Prime Minister of an entire continent was gone. If you or I were writing a novel, or a movie script, in which the Prime Minister of an entire continent went into the ocean and didn't come out, we'd maybe have submarines and underwater spy swimmers making it happen. We've seen all the James Bond movies, so we know how such events can be handled. Perhaps we'd have as the Prime Minister's fishing companions people of dubious character, or secret lovers of whatever gender. We couldn't, just have him go into the water and not come out of the water. Things like that, a major character disappearing on an innocent Sunday swim, don't just happen in movies or novels. In real life, such things happen all the time. In January 1998, U.S. Congressman Sonny Bono, a very competent skier, died after he slammed into a tree on an ordinary day on a trail he knew very well.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.